Hey everyone, welcome to Faith and Justice Podcast. I'm your man, Dr. L.
I am Dr. B, his co-host. He's Batman. I'm just Robin.
And I am honored to be here amongst these two wonderful, educated Black men. My name is Anita Stoudemire. My platform is Better Love Movement Everywhere.
So Dr. B is always talking about how I'm Batman and he's Robin. Well,
Okay.
Batman is the millionaire. Batman makes all the money.
Right.
Bruce Wayne.
That's correct, sir.
So when the money starts coming in, don't say nothing.
Batman also has the X on his back, so I'd rather have the X on your back.
Yep.
All right. How's everybody doing? Everybody's doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
Doing well, Dr. Doing well.
Yep.
We're all on the East Coast here, and we've all been suffering from the fires and the fires that are going on in Canada. And I had gone outside one day. I'm like, what's going on? It was all orange outside. I'm like, what's going on? So I didn't realize that all that stuff was coming down, and it's made it from Canada all the way down, obviously to Virginia, where you're at.
Yep.
Anita.
Yep. There's a haze across, the city. Yeah.
And it kind of talks about how relationships are the same way. You can be so far away, but if you're not careful, their energy will come down to you. So you got to be very careful of how you allowed old soul ties to mess you up as well. So
Okay. You just threw that in there.
Okay. All right. So we got a I think really good show for us today. So we're going to talk about a book, a Delano Squires book about the Vanishing Black Family. But however, before we get there, let's address the situation that's going on down in Mississippi. And as a side note, I don't know why Black folks still live in this Mississippi, but hey, whatever. Listen, as soon as they said we can leave, I would have been gone. I mean, just the stuff that they go through down there is just crazy. It was only in the last 10 years that they stopped flying the Confederate flag in Mississippi, which is crazy. It's just
You made a movie about it called Mississippi Burning, so that's all I needed to hear.
Mississippi Burning was that Medgar Evers who was shot?
Medgar Evers also about civil rights movement during the 60s and how they were trying to deal with the people who were not trying to follow the Constitution of all men are created equal.
Yeah.
So in response to that, so now we have the situation with the young 18-year-old college athlete, Nolan Wells, who was out boating with his friends and then somehow didn't make it back to the shore when everybody else did. And 2 days later was found obviously deceased. And then that sparked an outrage from the family as the sheriffs down there said, there's nothing to see here where there's no evidence of foul play. Well, the question is, did you look? We have a young 18-year-old kid who's dead. And, to immediately assume that nothing is going on, dropping stuff, immediately assume that nothing is going on is really ridiculous. I'm speaking from a law enforcement perspective. There has to be a full-fledged investigation. And of course, again, this ties into what we're talking about here about the history, unfortunately, of Mississippi and their lack of investigating Black folks or their demise and, histories and the intertwining with the police and all that. So it's really been problematic. And so many people, so many internet sleuths have been on it so far. So I got to give a lot of them a lot of credit. And one of the things that they have pointed out is that a medical examiner who I guess has done the autopsy. I don't have the results just yet, but the medical examiner somehow, some way is usually, this according to the internet, usually found that Black men who die under these type of circumstances are really just unusual circumstances, but not homicides, which the classification should be. So there's a lot of scrutiny about her. There's scrutiny about the sheriff's department not doing a full-fledged investigation. And there was just a press conference by the family who was hired, Ben Crump. In that press conference, their team had just finished being with the prosecutor in this particular case. There's a lady's name. I forget the lady's name off the top of my head. And she apparently, after 72 hours, there's supposed to be some information that's supposed to be given.
Mhm.
A police report as well as other information. Within 96 hours, that information had not been given. And all she could offer was apologies, and we're going to do better, and we're going to keep you informed. That is a part of the problem. I have
Yeah.
a book around here. I don't know where it's at. I've been meaning to do a second edition to my book, but in my book, where I talk about police reform, I speak about these medical examiners who are just as guilty, just as in cahoots with suppression of criminal justice information and reforms and transparency as the police officers, because
Right.
they oftentimes are doing the same thing. So
Mhm.
I've spoken enough. I'd like to hear your guys' opinions about this.
Well, I'm going to have, I might have an unpopular opinion, but my main concern about this case is bringing the public into it. That is what is most concerning to me. Choosing Crump, the press conferences and things of that nature, we're kind of going the way of Carmelo Anthony again. That's how it feels. And I think the family definitely should have gotten all of the support that they needed from the people that they needed it from. But I just don't understand them doing it in the public. That's the part that I'm not quite understanding. And we all know once you get certain people involved, once you get what's the gentleman's name? It's escaping me. Once you get all of these high profile attorneys and once you get certain people involved,
Al
it
Sharpton,
becomes like it becomes like a circus. And I don't think that's helpful. I don't think that's helpful either, because we all know how the internet is. People love to create these narratives. They love to make it mean something when we don't have enough information. So that's what's confusing me, that we went and hired, what's his last name? Is it Crump?
Benjamin Crump.
Yep.
And Al
We went,
Sharpton also said some
yeah,
things.
we went and got all of these people involved, and now, it's going to turn into a circus. That is what is concerning me. And they also have started a GoFundMe, and I want to say, I'm going to look it up. I want to say it's up to $1 million now.
But do you think that had we not gotten these individuals involved, that we would have gotten this information? I think that Crump has used the press to get this information out. Now we know the boating times, the GPS tracking locations of the boats, and that's by using the press. And the press conference, he said it. Listen, when people are sending the law firm pictures and videos and audios, they're reposting that because they're trying to get the crowd involved, because that is what pressures the prosecutor's office to now take this investigation more seriously. If the police initially said there's nothing to see here and there is there's no evidence of foul play, well, now a few days later, because of this information, because of the public pressure, there is now we're going to talk about doing a greater investigation. They've got an independent autopsy coming. They've got the prosecutors now talking about conducting a grand jury. All of this is behind the actions of getting the press involved and putting pressure on this.
I think it's a double-edged sword, though.
My issue is that there were four young men that went out boating. 3 come back. If I'm your friend, as soon as something goes on, I'm calling the police, I'm calling the family, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Because I'm your friend. So what's ingenuous to me is that why is it that 4 went out, only 3 came back, that the 3 who were supposed to be friends didn't alert immediately? That's my problem. And that doesn't sound right, because as much as Dr. L and I banter, if I'm with Dr. L and something happens, I'm calling the police. I'm calling his son, my godson. Hey, something happened. And these three men, not two, not one, these three men did not immediately alert something happened. So
Yeah.
that's suspect to me. Now, if these were just guys who were just getting along, now personally, I ain't going on no boat that I don't know nobody on the boat, because boat and black people don't have a good relationship.
Yeah.
That's number one. So I ain't going on no boat if
Yeah.
I don't know everybody on the boat in a small boat. So
Mhm.
that's just bothering me that, when something happens, how come those three young men did not call somebody immediately?
Yeah.
How come they didn't call the authorities? How come they didn't do something? Whatever. That's all I got to say.
And also, why didn't they voluntarily give up his keys? Why is it that we're still kind of wrestling over what happened with the cell phone? Were their messages deleted, or if
Right.
it was Snapchat, did they automatically disappear? So there was definitely some curious behaviors that was conducted by the family, and ordered. They were immediately, once they got home, to your point, Dr. B, they didn't call anyone immediately, and then
Right.
they immediately got on the phone and started lawyering up.
Yeah.
So that's those are not actions of persons who are innocent. Now, but I personally, I just had this conversation with my son,
Mhm.
my son and my stepson just 2 days ago. We were fleshing all this out, and I don't think that anything intentionally happened to him. I think if anything happened to him, just me just speculating, it was an accident.
Yeah.
And if it was an accident, they still didn't take the proper precautions
Right.
to mitigate that. Calling someone immediately, right? Even what shocks me is this: they called the Coast Guard at something like 11 o'clock at night, and the Coast Guard said, "Oh, we're not going to come out." Somebody ought
Mm.
to be fired over that. There ought to be
Yeah.
some reassignments over that. I mean, and they didn't go out till 12 o'clock the next day.
Yeah.
13 hours later, you going out here and somebody called you early. What, are you got busy? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. So there was definitely some mishaps, some crazy things that happened, and it needs to be investigated to the fullest
Oh, for
extent.
sure. Yeah, for sure. And the hope is they are doing their own like private investigation. But let's be honest, we know again, when there is lots of money involved, when there's lots of press involved, people's intentions may not always be pure. And we have to be honest about that. That once we're talking about a whole lot of money or certain people who are in it for perhaps not the right reasons, people's intentions are not good. So you're calling attorneys, these ambulance chaser type attorneys, your Gloria Allrides and, people like that. That's my only concern is once we do that, once we start going on Good Morning America and having all these press conferences, yeah, that could be a good thing, but it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
And let's say a case does come out of this, and basically, the case has all but been tried in the public eye. So it's hard to find people who don't know about, the media and the case and all of that. So that's my only thing. I think
there's
all of this could have been done privately.
yeah,
And once they had more information, then they could have brought it out. That's just what I think.
yeah, there's a history with media and law enforcement when it comes to Black America. Uh, that the Constitution said all men are created equal.
Mhm.
Yet the majority of people who signed that document had slaves themselves. And so we have, as a people, a mentality of always, can we really trust? Can we really have full essence to it? But on Anita's point, which is very true, we do have people who will take advantage of this and run with this. So that's why we have to do um, a national, uh, for lack of a better word, consciousness of purifying our hearts. Why are we doing certain things? What is our outcome? Because if you keep, so as a counselor, and Anita knows this, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you won't get the same results.
Mhm.
So in America, we really got to say, you know what? Let's take away all this legality per se, and what is the true intent? If you're my friend and I'm missing, you're calling someone immediately. You're not waiting. You're not lowering up. I have a friend that's lost. I'm doing all that I can to find this friend because, as Dr. L said, it was probably something that happened. It was a mishap, whatever it may be. But again, we really got to get to the point of what's the intent of my heart. Because if those three young men had the right intent, I'm calling someone immediately. I'm not waiting, lowering up, and now I'm calling somebody. I'm not doing that. That's just personal.
So you brought up an interesting point there, and it's the second time you mentioned about the Constitution and the original framers of the Constitution. And so, I'm always hesitant when I speak about these types of things, in particular the Constitution and the forefathers and all that kind of stuff, right? Constitution is written 1789 or something like that, or whenever it was ratified. I forget. Um, you know, 17, that was a long time ago, and the way that people thought about. And then we get 1857, we get the Dred Scott decision, in which said that black folks there have no rights that a white person is bound to respect.
That's correct.
After that we get the Civil War. After that we get Reconstruction. After that we get the institution of black codes and Jim Crow laws. So we've always had this issue, and we also started off talking about the history, in particular, of the South Mississippi, and its reluctance to be dragged into a different way of looking at black people. And so it's possible to me, in my thinking, that these people don't look at black folks as human. Why would you not call the police fully human? Why would you not call the police if your friend is missing? Why would you immediately lawyer up? Why would the sheriff not engage in a full proactive investigation? Why is it that the medical examiner has such a sketchy history? All because we have not eradicated the virus that is still within American psychology, and that is the issue of black folks. W.E.B. Du Bois said this, that the issue of the 20th century is going to be the color problem. It was true in the 20th century. It's still true in the 21st century. We saw it in these different court cases, as Anita said. We have not. We want to think that we've gotten there, and kudos to those who think we've gotten to that place, and we think so. We're seeing this. We saw it when the election of Barack Obama. Okay, we made it. We elected a black president. What happened after Barack Obama? We get now this guy who's in office, and now this administration is doing more to divide us, eliminating black history, DEI, taking down plaques. I'm just saying that it's still there. Most of us, I think, have moved on past this, but unfortunately, there's some people who still have a remnant of this idea about what it means to be black, what it means to be white, who is supposed to be on top. We can link it to class, we can link it to finances, we can link it to economics, but when we start boiling all this away, who is it that gets hurt by a lot of these different policies and a lot of these different people? Unfortunately, it's us. Those are my thoughts.
So we just finished celebrating. America celebrating 250th year anniversary as a nation. Yet that same year, that same day, you have over 400 white men covered up in white smocks, which to me was an upgrade of the KKK. And what bothers me is that the only way we're going to deal with racism correctly is that not just black folks talk about it, but when you see your white fellow brother doing that, you stand up and say something. It would have been powerful if Trump would have said, you know what I saw marching through this streets of Washington, D.C. was deplorable and jacked up. He did not.
He did not.
Anita knows this, and Dr. L knows this. I believe it was 1913. Woodrow Wilson. My dates are probably off, but Woodrow Wilson, the president of the United States, the son of a Presbyterian pastor, invited the author of A Birth of a Nation, which was about the KKK, and the KKK marched through Washington, D.C. In single file, up and down. And look what happens in 2026, where we have another march of white men covering their faces. So to me, it was an upgrade. So until we can have people criticize what is wrong with this nation, again, as a counselor, you cannot heal present until you first heal the past. Because if you don't heal the past, you continue to come into the present. So to me, it was just I'll find the date when that happened, but there was a march in Washington, D.C. under Woodrow Wilson where the KKK marched down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Mm.
I'll look it up while you guys talk. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
No, I think that you're right. I mean, I don't know about the dates, but listen, I mean, there's a whole resurgence about that, and you and I had talked many times, Dr. B. We had talked about President Grant, U.S. Grant, and his fighting the KKK. And because of that, I'm reading a book when I have time to get to it called The Klan War and President Grant's fight against the Klan War. So this is important to understand and to remember. And listen, I want it to be gone. I don't want to talk about this. I really don't want to talk about this type of thing. I really want to kind of move on. Anytime I teach a criminal justice class, in particular, intro to criminal justice class, I always take them through the history of how the police departments were formed. You're absolutely right. We got to get to the root of this. Got to get to the history of this, and we're not. And unfortunately, there's too much blind eye turning to its history.
I'm sorry. The date was August 8th, 1925. Look it up, people. August 8th, 1925. The Ku Klux Klan marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. Between 25 and 40,000 Klansmen participated in what was the largest public demonstration in the Klan's history. So,
and what often gets me is, what today we're at our strongest, right? 12, 13, 14%, depending on how people classify themselves. I mean, even back then we were at 8, 9% of the population. Why are they worried about us? It was always just baffling to me. Like, black folks aren't trying to take over. We just don't want to be stepped on and stomped on. So I don't know. It's really just confusing to me.
And just to correct myself, Woodrow Wilson was not the president at that time. So I just want to correct myself. All right. I'm not sure who the president was, but the Klan did march down Pennsylvania Avenue. That's historic. That's history.
So as we continue to speak about black folks in our families, let's segue here. And certainly we want to give as much due respect to the Wells family and hope that justice is served, no matter what happened.
Yeah.
We want to see justice served. The black family, as we talked about from our history lesson that we gave here, from the marches, from the speeches, from our escape from slavery, etc. There is now a new threat to black folks, and that is coming from within, and that is our own actions and inactions. And a young man by the name of Delano Squires wrote a book for the Heritage Foundation. I did reach out to his brother. I'm going to try to have him on, see if we can hook up with him. He has not responded as of yet, but I'm hoping to really get him on. Anyway, he wrote a book, and I think I have a picture of the book here. It's I think it's this one here. Sorry to block you out there, Dr. B. The Vanishing Black Family.
Right. I know you do it personally, sir.
How welfare and feminism made marriage optional and children vulnerable. So Anita read the book. And I audio booked it. I got one more chapter to go. I have not gotten to the last chapter. So we're going to have a discussion. Of course, Dr. B is more than welcome to chime in when he can. Certainly, if you have time, Dr. B, obviously get the book. It is on audio book, or however you like to consume things. It's easier for me. I like to go for rides and just listen, to audio books. So started off, Anita. The ball's in your court there.
So there's two parts to the book. The first part is some of the history of, it's going through all of our history, all the way back to slavery and the history of marriage in the Black community, amongst the Black family. The second part of the book, he does talk about some solutions. So I think that was the blueprint for restoration, is what he calls it. So I think that is excellent. We need more people to have kind of a fair and balanced view when we're talking about these type of subjects. So we're not just talking about these are the problems, these are the problems. Like, he wants to also talk about some of the solutions. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and I agreed with this because I've always said this, is that he discussed how slavery did not destroy the Black family, but it deformed the institution of marriage in the Black family. It made it difficult for the Black husband and the Black wife to live in a set of expectations of one another in terms of what we know marriage to be, right? So if the Black husband and the Black wife are owned by white slaveholders, that limits their ability to have a healthy marital union. Okay, so things like living together, being monogamous to one another, being able to set up their family and their household in such a way. Well, if a Black husband and a Black wife are married under slavery, they are technically owned by their white slaveholder. So the white slaveholder could have sex with the Black wife, he could sell her off, he could sell off the husband, so he talked about that at length, and how, even when that happened, that once emancipation came, a lot of these couples, if they were separated in slavery, they set out on a search to find each other. They set out on a search to find the children that had been sold away, or find the husband, or find the wife. That's how important family and marriage was to them. They wanted to try to find each other and restore their Black family. So we have, quite a history when it comes to marriage, that this is something that is important to us. This was a part of our biblical foundation, that this was God's first institution that he created. And so we honored and revered marriage. And now we fast forward to 2026, and most people are like, yep, that's old fashioned, that's antiquated, ain't nobody trying to do that. Nobody's trying to get married, for a myriad of reasons. So I thought that was interesting, how we went from, and I always talk about this even when we talk about LGBTQ, like marriage was so revered that they wanted it, right? Ask yourself that, because I remember I used to talk to gay people like, why do you want to do something that heterosexual men and women do? Why do you even care? Like, isn't the whole idea behind LGBTQ is you are non-traditional? So that used to kind of blow my mind. Like, y'all want to do something that's so traditional, and yet you all are living this non-traditional lifestyle. But they fought for the right to get married. So marriage must mean something if they fighting so hard to get in. So I found that interesting, that what was once so important to us and so revered is now is a total 180.
So I just did a quick look up on the brother, and I am pleased to announce he is married.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I say that because a lot of times people are writing about relationships, and you know what? Let me see if you in one too as well, or working on one. But he is married with 4 kids.
Yeah.
And Anita, you are spot on. Many people say, why is it that in 2026 we're still talking about slavery? Well, number one, my last name represents slavery. That's number one. I'm a Brantley. There are no Brantleys in Africa. So every Black person whose name was not associated with the owner is reminded of their history. Now, for those Blacks who have changed their names to freedmen or whatever it may be,
right,
God bless you. My ancestors did not do that. So I am constantly reminded, and just like God bless the Italians and my Jewish brothers, my Chinese brothers for understanding and celebrating their history. Well, I cannot celebrate my history without also understanding slavery was a part of it. That's just the truth of it. So Yeah, that's why I believe in marriage. Is marriage easy? Absolutely not, because you have two different people coming together, a husband and wife coming together, trying to have a um, a point of connection. And as a counselor, you cannot heal or have a good relationship until you first heal from your own personal trauma.
Mhm.
And what's worse of a trauma than slavery? Of being with someone you love. And slavery stopped in 1801 by imports. In 1801, there were no more slaves allowed coming into America. But as we all know, what took the place of imports was breeding, and breeding definitely placed a indelible mark in the black marriage, because now it wasn't about family; it was about breeding, so that we can have more slaves in the field. So uh, it's just our history, and we have to embrace all of it and heal from it, and not just speak about the highlights of it. So that's my point.
Mm. Now,
I was going
here's,
to ask you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
it's interesting though. So he says that he cannot connect slavery directly to the dissolution of the Black family today. So the reason why the Black family is in fact vanishing is not a direct line from slavery. That's the
Uh,
argument that he makes.
so I will humbly disagree, because when you have lost your culture, and let's be honest, okay, when my Italian brothers came over to America, they didn't lose their culture. When my Chinese brothers came over, they didn't lose their culture. When my Jewish brothers came, they didn't lose their culture. But the Africans lost their culture and their dialect. Okay, you cannot look at that and not say that's not going to affect the people in that place. Uh, I have uh, I have clients from Nigeria. I have clients from Zimbabwe. I have clients from South Africa, and I'm just amazed how they have this perspective that I wish I have, because they know their roots. They know where they're from, and other cultures they know where they are from. But when it comes to Afro Americans, no. Um, One of my jokes is that I did what's that, 23 chromosomes, or
Mhm.
whatever it is, and and it came back with you from Africa. No, duh. tell me tell me where, and they couldn't tell me where I was
Okay.
actually from. Uh, so with my humble opinion, that I do think it does affect you, because when you don't have that tradition or that culture, I mean, imagine having sex with your wife and then 2 days later being shipped off
Mhm.
to never see her again.
Mhm.
You don't think that affects a child? And as you guys know, whatever is in placed in you as a child, if it doesn't heal, you bring that into your adulthood, and then you bring that in the next adulthood and then the next adulthood, because that needs to be healed. So that's just my humble opinion. I could be totally wrong, but that's just my humble opinion.
Thomas Sowell, the philosopher, made the same
Mhm.
point that Delano said, that it really didn't break. It really didn't break the black community as far as breaking up marriages. Slavery did. I see both points. I don't know if I have enough to weigh in on it.
Mhm.
But certainly here's the facts. We were, to Thomas Sowell's point and to Delano Squires' point, we were married. And what
Yeah.
we didn't see the breakdown until the 60s. And
Yep.
I had Dr. Diane Stewart. She wrote a
Mhm.
book. I'll put this up here. I'll cover everybody's face this time
Yep.
now.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for being so wonderful, sir. But you still cover my face first, sir. All right, just put it out there.
I
Okay?
wasn't first, man. It
No,
all
How you
came at the
doing,
same
people?
time.
You see my eyes?
okay. His eyes are showing.
So I had Dr. Diane Stewart. She wrote a book called Black Women, Black Love, America's War
Mhm.
and African American Marriage.
Yep.
Great, great. I think she
Yeah,
came
I
out
read it.
twice.
Yeah, yep. I
Yeah.
read her book too. Yep.
Yeah, she came on twice, and actually, I think she's writing a book right now. And I told her, listen, I got to be the first person that
Yeah.
interviews you with you. She's like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right. So anyway, so I'm much love for Dr. Diane Stewart, and so she wrote a book, and in her book, that she emphasized the same thing, that we were married, but
Right.
yet, to Anita's point, we were denied real love. I think
Yeah.
Dr. B also made this point. We were denied real love. It was more of a marriage of convenience. It was a
Yeah.
marriage of just ceremony with no legal contract power.
Right.
And so that was the major difference. And then we tried to reclaim that. And according to her book, we tried to reclaim that in the 60s, but we fell apart. And
Yeah.
there's now another reclamation trying to go on right now. I'd be anxious to hear what she has to say, given the current market, what's going on.
Yep.
So and I think you're right, Dr. B. It does traumatic emotional damage to see your loved one being shipped off.
Yeah.
And some of that, and this is what Squires argued in his book, is that some of these people were gone, had not seen each other for 24 years, post-slavery, 24 years, and then they got back together.
Together.
So whatever marriage of convenience that they formed, it was lasting.
Yeah.
It was strong enough to last 24 years. When I find you 24 years later,
Yeah.
we're going to hook back up. And so his point was, we don't have that ethic today.
Right.
I want to give it back over to Anita to expound.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now we move into, like you said, the 60s. We talk about the welfare system. We talk about the Negro family, the case for national action, better known as the Moynihan Report, came out in 1965 during Lyndon B. Johnson's administration. And we know that big government has now replaced the Black father. And women have chosen the benefits of big government over coming together with the father of their children or their husband and creating strong families and maintaining strong families. And we have our epidemic of, the beginning of the single motherhood and big government replacing the Black father, the Black husband in the home, and how detrimental that was, the no man in the house rule, that this began to start undermining the family structure. So, we're all very well aware of that and what happened. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, man, either the women could have rejected that, right? They could have actively rejected. They could have said, no, me and my man are going to be together and we're going to work it out. I think to some extent, there were some women in my family that rejected that. And they may have struggled, but they had 6, 8, 10 kids, and them and their man stayed together and lived in a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, walk up, and they made it work. And they kind of rejected that. So it's like, I often think to myself, what if our women as a whole just rejected that and said, no, we are going to be loyal to our men and we're going to work it out with them. And yeah, we may not be able to have access to all of these government benefits, but we're going to hold on to the father of our children or our husband. I often wonder about that. And then I often, of course, wonder about what could the Black man have done also. But
Dr. Anita, I'm gonna need your prayers when I say this, because I'm about to put a needle into Dr. L. This is why the Black man has to be better. What's happened with the Black family, yes, society has definitely affected, but the Black man a man in general has to be a good leader of his family. Can we wonder out loud why most of the lynchings between 1861 and 1920 were Black men and not Black women? That should make you focus right there. Is that most lynchings were for the man. People don't even know that back in the day there were lynching postcards where people used to take pictures of the lynching and then sell the postcards, and people would
Mm.
actually buy the postcards,
Mm.
right? Yes, people, a postcard, and they were on the front of the postcard. I mean, the front part was the lynching, and on the
Right.
back was a handwritten letter from the person. So this is why I am trying to teach men lead. Don't let the government step in where you have that right. That is your son. That is your daughter. And then I have some men also that when they divorce, they not only divorce their wife, they also divorce their children.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Why are you putting that onus on the children? And I see it all the time where uh and and sometimes Anita, and I know you've seen this as well, where the new wife says to the husband, you can't have a relationship
Yep.
with the children.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Really? You are that insecure?
It's a thing.
Yes. And he may now I'm not talking he's still talking with his ex-wife,
Mm-hmm.
but the new wife says, no, you cannot ever talk to your children again. Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
wrong. That's another reason why we have issues as well.
Mm.
Man, I kind of lost my train of thought there. To the point about the black women in the home, it's excuse me, the man in the house rule that we're kind of alluding to. It was more sinister than that, and I did a little bit of work
Mm.
because I was actually going to do a podcast about it. Because it just when you take a look at the welfare and who is actually receiving welfare, and the men who are asked to leave the home is really small. But how they expanded it was if you were even having sex with a man, that precluded you from getting support as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, when I'm linking this to Diane Stewart's work, there was always a targeting of black men. And there was another brother, I forget his name off the top of my head. He developed the theory or expanded upon the theory about the target male hypothesis, or the subordinate male target hypothesis. In other words, wherever a dominant males live racially, they're always going to target the men, which is to answer Dr. B's question, why black men were lynched.
Right.
And so it's not only the lynchings that were taking place, but think about the time period that we're talking about. Not only the lynchings that were taking place, black men couldn't join the military for various reasons. Couldn't if they got a job, it was many times lower than the salary of white workers. First ones fired, last ones hired. All these different types of things. So to answer the question as to why black women went for this is because they were struggling.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, some money better than no money.
Right.
And so this caused this divorce of the black man and marrying of the black woman. Had they done, and this goes to Daniel Patrick Moynihan's point, had the government made sure that you enabled the black man to his fullest potential economically, mentally, we would not have, the women would have been in the same place, and there would not been a need for the social welfare. But because, again, to racism, they didn't want to pay back black men the same thing that they paid white people. Because of that, they created this monster of black people, the Negro race, created this monster, and then said, okay, now look at them, because now all they need is welfare. Now they're a bunch of welfare queens. And so that would have been a way to solve this problem or prevent the very problem that we're having. One of the issues that we have.
Yeah.
That's something, Dr. And I didn't want to. Don't disagree with you, Dr. B. We should take leadership.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeez.
So, Anita, thank you for being here. I'm not going to dive into that.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna start some trouble.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know you will. But let's see what's happening here. When the government, why is it that this nation, the North American continent, was full of Indians? Why are they almost extinct? I have Indian blood. My mother was half Indian. Is because what they did is that they set up these reservations, but that wasn't it. It was they shipped these Indian kids to boarding schools. It's in our history, people. Why? Because they wanted to assimilate these children into becoming Americanized. I forgot what year it was, but and this blows my mind, Anita. Indians were not Americans until 1920s.
Mm,
What? You telling me people who are indigenous
yeah.
to the area were not citizens? So again, what happened in 1965 with Mr. Johnson was just, you know what, let the government take this over. We did a
Yeah.
great job with the Indians, so let's do this again with Black Americans. And yes, I am glad someone in your family, Anita, said, you know what, no, we're not going to do that. But
Yeah.
again, we have to take this rightful place. And again, people, we are not racist. We love everybody, but we'll just understanding until you understand the history of what we've come from, you cannot know where you heal from it. And that's all I'm trying to get people to understand. Let's face it, let's understand it, let's get the healing from it so that we can move on as a great nation as we really want to be. But again, and you know, black man, if you lay it, you got to take care of it. I mean,
Mm,
again, in the end, it's not just you trying to have your feel good on. I'm sorry. And, Anita, can we all rise? Because now we have the Right Reverend Dr. L come in right now. I know you're
Make
going
sure my offerings come in there too, man.
That's
Make sure
right.
Where my collection plate at here, man? Y'all want to
Okay.
support the podcast here.
There you go.
the right. Anita, I don't know
Cash
why he
app
does
with this.
this. Anita, I don't know why he does. Now you're the Right Reverend
Okay.
Dr. L. Right Reverend. Don't have a
She's seen the
church.
show. She's seen
Yep,
the show. She
I
knows
have
what's
seen.
going
I know.
on. I had a collection plate thing up here. Somebody took my
Okay.
stuff.
Anita, pray for me, please. All right.
Okay.
There we go. There we go.
Go ahead, Anita. What else did you?
Okay, so
have?
here's what I want Dr. B to weigh in on, because we know he has a time restraint. And then we have, of course, feminism. I don't think we need to go off into the weeds on that. I think we all, to some degree, agree that feminism does not support healthy marriage and families between men and women. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. I want him to weigh in on chapter 5, Distort the Bible for Political Power, where he discussed that the Black church has basically been bought and paid for by the Democratic National Committee. He was critical of the Black church and its liberal, progressive stance on abortion, LGBTQIA lifestyles, and the lack of family values. So he was critical of the Black church and talked about how in what was once seen as a place to be spiritually fed and to also instill morality, it is now no longer that. It is something, it's a totally different beast. And that is my criticism of the Black church, that today's modern church is no longer supporting the formation of healthy families. And I'm specifically talking about the Black church because we happen to be Black, but I've even seen this in other churches, that we are no longer applying biblical principles to our lives. And Dr. L knows this. I talked to him about this, that one of the reasons why I left St. Paul's Baptist Church, I just called them out. I left them because 16 years I had been a member of that church here in Richmond. But every year that I was there, that church started to progressively get more and more liberal. It started to pull away from biblical principles. It started to shove politicians in your face every Sunday and tell you who to vote for and tell you what you should believe. And I got sick of it. I eventually said, I'm not coming here for this. I'm not coming here for you all to shove politicians down my throat and tell me who I should vote for. I'm coming here to be spiritually fed. I'm coming here to give my children a spiritual foundation and a moral foundation. And I eventually had to leave that church because a lot of what they were supporting was not biblical. And so that's a big criticism that he has is, the black church has kind of been bought and paid for.
Anita, I wish we had started with this because
Okay.
I got a lot to say. Yes, I am a pastor,
Mhm.
27 years pastoring, 50 years preaching. You are spot on, Anita. During slavery, it was the lack of the church that kept slavery going on. If the white preacher had to preach the gospel of love, slavery wouldn't have lasted that long. Number two, most every denomination in the black church was a spin-off from a white denomination because they did not allow blacks to really serve. Whether it's the AME, whether the Southern Baptist Church, it was all a derivative. That's why I'm a part of the Holiness Church of God in Christ, because there was no spin-off from any other of the white denominations at that particular time.
Mhm.
But yes, we got to get back to why the church was there. The church was there to encourage, to enrich, and how more powerful can you speak to the Black America that the same word they used to enslave us is the same word we use to free us.
Mhm.
That is the DNA of Black America. But yes, we have now in 2026. I'm not saying all, but it's a very large number who use the Bible for how rich you can get.
Yep.
But I'm sorry, the Bible still says, "Seek ye first
Yep.
kingdom of heaven and
Mhm.
His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you." That's why Drewski can do a satire of the
Yep.
mega churches of
Yep.
red bottom shoe preacher
Yep.
wearing Gucci and everything else,
Mhm.
because we have gone away from the culture because it was the church. Uh, I'll say this and I'll be done because I can do this all day long. Why is it that church was so long? It's very simple, people. During slavery, church was the only time.
Mm.
It was us. It was ours.
Yep.
And we understood the longer we stayed in church, the less time we were in the fields.
Yep.
So every time we have a long church service, people, we are honoring our ancestors.
Mm.
Every single time we shout and praise and have this exuberance, we are honoring our ancestors who could not do it in the white church because the white church was quiet and peaceful, and we were letting out the pain of the whip and letting out the pain of being enslaved. That's why. So when our people move away from that, you're moving from our culture. If the closest thing we have, in my opinion, to our culture is the black church. And what a travesty that now we're making the black church for some into a political situation versus how can I help that brother? How can I help that sister get their soul right so that they can be right with their family and with themselves?
Yeah.
And I can't believe this man said tonight's service collection plate cash out.
Oh, okay.
I can't believe he's doing this while he's talking about. But people, I did not put that up. Batman put that up. This will put that out there. And now he puts up Anita. Look at this. Look at Anita. I've been doing this for a long time. I ain't never put up my certificate. This guy always got to do this. That says something. I just want to say it out loud.
Okay. Woo.
I'm asking people to support the show.
Okay.
Make sure you hit the like button. And if you want to support the show, please.
Okay.
Jesus, Lord, I God, nobody. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Support the show. Support the show with your likes, the views, share
That's
the
right.
show. And if you want to send us some coin,
That's
so
right.
we can make sure. I had to buy a whole new microphone. My microphone crapped out. I had to buy a whole new microphone.
Okay.
So yeah. Go ahead, Anita. What else?
And professional mics are not cheap. Yeah.
I have to leave, so thank you very much, Anita.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. L, I'm sorry, the right Reverend Dr. L for having me on.
Yeah.
God bless you guys.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
All right. Take care. All right.
All right. Unbelievable.
Okay, it's unbelievable.
All right, let me get rid of this here. So go ahead, Anita. Go ahead.
So it's it's a travesty because being Christian doesn't mean anything anymore. And whenever I'm having these debates with either non-Christians or atheists or agnostics, it's like I get it. I really don't have any pushback, right? Because, like he said, a huge percentage of Black churches are completely out of order. They are not preaching the gospel. That should be the main reason why the church exists, is to save souls and to educate people and to be a spiritual support to people and to help teach them morality and ethics and things of that nature. And a large percentage of them are not. And so, of course, marriage is falling by the wayside. We're accepting single motherhood. There's single motherhood ministries. We have all these ministries in different churches, and then we have a huge percentage of churches that are supporting LGBTQIA. That's that whole lifestyle. We have churches that support what we call so they had to rebrand abortion. They had to call it reproductive rights, or what's the other thing that they call it? They have to call it something else, but it is abortion. It is abortion. And I say the word, I say it on YouTube, that I refuse to edit my speech. I refuse to not use words that are in Merriam-Webster's dictionary. But you can't even say the word abortion, but I say the word abortion. They want to call it women's rights or women's reproductive rights, but it is abortion. And so that's what I'm not understanding. Black people have always been relatively conservative. And now all of a sudden you have this flip, this shift, when we know, we did not support alternative lifestyles. We did not support a lot of things that the church is supporting now. So all of that is relatively new over the last, 50 years. That's relatively new for us.
I would venture that Black folks are still relatively conservative, probably not as much as we were 10 years ago. But I think that we're still relatively conservative. And so, but the issue is yes, the church. I don't know. Again, I'm not in the church world anymore, so I don't know, to the extent that this is going on. I certainly hear your story about what's going on down there. I have a friend who's in North Carolina. He says his church is pretty big and it doesn't do those types of things. Okay. So I don't know how widespread this is. So I'm wondering where he's getting that from. Now, because he Delano talks about the left a lot, and yeah. I think the problem with talking about the left is that he's talking about a voting bloc of those who vote Democrat.
Right.
And I disagree with that when it comes to Black folks. I think overwhelmingly Black folks, had it not been for, again, the racism in the Republican Party, the MAGA movement, the Tea Party movement, those types of people, there would be more Black folks voting along those lines, because most Black people don't agree with these mass abortions.
Yeah.
I believe, a woman should have, if she's suffering a medical emergency, yeah, okay, let's if the baby's not going to be viable and whatever, I think you have to be able to take actions in those circumstances. But just, I'm just going to, just have fun and just go to the clinic next week is disgusting to me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I make a delineation between those two types of things. Right. But I think that overall, when you look at most policies, most Black folks are not dealing with the whole LGBT thing, right?
Yeah.
There's certainly a lot of people doing it, but as far as a voting bloc, I don't know if I see that. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I actually looked at the numbers, but the last time I did, I know years ago, and particularly when Barack Obama was running, there was a push and pull because he was about things. Remember, the first time Barack Obama ran, he was talking about no gay marriage.
Yeah.
First time he ran, he was talking about no gay marriage.
Yep. He wanted civil unions. He wanted to support civil union. Yep.
Right. And so eventually, second time around, Now it's a whole change thing.
Yep.
So I think again, my point is that when Delano talks about the left, I don't know if we can really add black folks to the left. We certainly vote Democrat, and that I think that's because we are looking at the other alternative,
Right.
and we don't like the alternative. Now, is it and a lot of us like we want some we think our government should do things for us, lower cost of education. This administration currently is talking about what are they, the wars that they got going on, the environment, refusing to really address the environment, pulling this out of different Paris Accords, the Kyoto Accords, which would reduce carbon monoxide and all these other type of things in the atmosphere, which scientists are saying is causing the wildfires on the West Coast in California and in Canada, which we discussed. So there has to be a little give and take to this.
Right.
So what are some of the solutions that Delano is saying to actually save the black family?
All right. So he wants the church to be a part of the solution. He wants them to take a huge part in reviving and restoring marriage, because he wants to instill a biblical view of marriage, God's blueprint for marriage, which is between a man and a woman. He talks at length about that is actually what's best for children. And that's probably my biggest stance on all of this, is when we started to see adults putting their needs above children, when we stopped seeing children as the most vulnerable citizens of our society, that's when things went left. And I agree with that. That's when things went completely off the rails. And I can remember listening to, it was Anton Daniels, actually. It was Anton Daniels several years ago. He went on a rant on his channel about single mothers. He went on a rant about their children, and he spoke so vilely. He spoke so negatively about the children of single mothers. And I can't even repeat some of the things that he said, but something about that, I was like, wow, okay, so this is where we're at, where we are talking about the children of single mothers, which to me, a child is innocent. And he just spoke so negatively that he didn't care about them, and we shouldn't care about them, and F them, and, don't be a stepdaddy at any cost, and don't care about these women's children, don't mentor them, and who gives a F? I was like, this is horrible. Like, I remember having a visceral reaction to that this is how we're talking about innocent children. And let's be honest, like, we got to be honest about this. Single mothers have been around forever, right? And men who marry them have been around forever. My mother's been married 3 times. She was married to my father, right? But she also married the second time. I had a stepfather. She married the third time. I had a stepfather. My mother has not ever had a problem with getting a man. So this new thing we got going on that says, and don't get me wrong, these single moms today are very different than the single moms of the 60s and the 70s. But this whole thing where, we're just painting with this broad brush that, just don't touch them. Just don't touch them, and don't touch their kids. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's becoming a larger and larger number. And so now you're going to have a larger number of children that are, completely without structure, because as I've stated in my own videos, the single mothers of the 60s are very different from the single mothers of 2026. Like, these women today are just not good mothers. They're just not good mothers. So it's one thing to grow up, Ben Carson's mom was a single mother, and she raised a neurosurgeon, and I believe his brother is an attorney. She raised 2 very prominent men. But today's single mom is different. Like, today's single mom is very different than back then. But we no longer prioritize the needs of children. That's a problem, right? That women are leaving marriages not based on abuse, not based on something horrible happening. They're just like, yeah, I don't want to be with you no more. And that's going to hurt her children. That's going to trickle down to the children. Or the men leaving, that's going to trickle down to the children. Like, we're no longer prioritizing the needs of children, or not getting married at all. That's not good for the children. So that's kind of my biggest complaint in all of this, is those children are going to grow up and they're going to be problematic. They're going to be insecurely attached. They're going to have wounds and traumas of their own. And then we got a huge cycle of this happening over and over. I think it's already happening. I think the whole YN epidemic is exactly that. Just a bunch of, really bad mothers raising, unstructured kids, no fathers, no structure in the home. And I think we're seeing that happen now. So it's only going to get worse. That's what's sad. It's only going to get worse, but we're not prioritizing what's best for children. That's a big problem. So we got to get the church involved in that and see what we can do. I do think these single mom children, they need mentorship. They need something. They need some sort of structure. I think the single moms need some sort of structure. They need help. But he's saying it shouldn't come from big government. It should come from the community.
So I got a lot to say about that. So you and I talked about this a little bit, and so I brought up Sandy Hook, and that was a pivotal moment for me. Not obviously because of the tragedy that happened, but when the government didn't do anything, and they said, the importance of guns in our community and in our society, or personal protection, outweighs and trumps the protection of children was a bridge too far for me. That was just really, really disgusting. And being in Connecticut, I'm right down the street from Sandy Hook. So it was really something that was really hurt me when the government didn't take any actions amongst the vast amount of school shootings that occurred before that and have happened since that, and they still haven't done anything.
But the children were little children. I mean, so you can shoot up in elementary school, not high school. You can kill itty bitty kids. That's
kindergartners.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So the other thing is that I wanted to mention is this, and I got this from you, and you talked about the feral women. These feral women who are uncontrolled. Listen, I think that is the most apt phrase to use, because they're uncontrolled. They're not in committed relationships. Nobody can tell them anything. Nobody can suggest anything to them. Not only that, they don't listen to men. They don't listen to their grandmothers, to their aunties. They don't listen to their boss. They quit jobs. They don't, but they are just out here just wild and feral. And of course, they are raising wild and feral boys.
And they're mating and having a bunch of kids.
Mating and having a bunch of kids, and we got this crazy rap song about spend that, just more feral actions and behaviors. And so last night I did a show asking men about whether they are intimidated by a woman's success. Somehow it devolved into not only, I'm answering this question in the chat, but even after the chat, and I actually got upset. I'm like, I was upset. I don't know if you watched the episode. I was upset. Like, you men out there are weak, right? So eventually, I saw other people kind of talking about it, and they said that same thing that you said. Anton Daniel said, "Forget these kids. Stop mentoring these kids. Stop marrying." I was the product. My mother had me and my two sons.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Me. She had two sons. My mother had my brother and myself.
Yeah.
So you some of these boys need mentors.
Yeah.
And they could use mentors. What if nobody reached back and I wasn't able to go to the boys club because nobody would work there?
Yeah.
As a man. What if summertime, my mother used to put us in a YMCA day camp. From 9 to 5, we were there, right?
Yep.
What if she didn't put us in there and there were no men in there to mentor these young kids to play kickball and wiffle ball with us, teach us swimming? What if there's nobody at the church to do these things?
Yeah.
I got really upset because I'm tired of hearing that type of thing, that they stop mentoring these boys. I can understand to a certain extent, don't marry these women, but at least at minimum, marry the boys.
Yeah.
Excuse me, mentor.
Yeah.
Mentor the boys.
Yeah.
At least mentor these young boys. They need someone. They need to be able to look up to someone. And I made a video today. It's going to drop probably maybe Monday morning. It's one of the car videos talking about stop this nonsense because it makes you sound weak. Oh, the Black community's a matriarch, and we just go about your own way, become a passport bro. You sound like an absolute punk, and you are the exact exact type of man that these women are complaining about. The high-powered woman, because she's on the rise and on trying to do something. You don't want to do nothing.
Yeah,
that's fine. If you don't want to live that type of life, that's fine. That's fine. You want to just do your 8 hours and just do what you got to do. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't criticize a woman who wants to do something more with her life. And if there's a young boy out there who, by any other circumstances, like you said, who is innocent, who needs to be a mentor, and you know how to cut grass, you know how to change the engine oil in your car, you know how to fix a broken lawnmower, you know how to do these things, and you won't just at least show the kids in your neighborhood how to do it one day out of the month. To do something simple. All these Black boys can't read, these boys that, okay, are you volunteering to help them read?
That's it.
And I listen, Anita, I volunteered my time from the police department for 10 years straight. 10 years straight. I coached boys, girls, Black, white. I coached because I wanted them to see a positive role model. That's and so now to hear people like Anton, or anyone else, anyone who talks like this, we ought not to mentor these young boys. It's the YNs are going to be running up on you when you're 60, 70, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, they're going to catch up to you eventually.
And you could have mentored him and put him on the right path. It bothers me to no end when I hear people in this manosphere, Black community, whatever it is. It bothers me, and I'm going to continue to speak out about that because you sound weak.
Yeah, but that's where we are. People have developed this hyper individualism, don't care about anybody. There is a book that I am reading. I'm actually going to do a review of it because I am so impressed. David Brooks. It's called How to Know a Person. It's by David Brooks. And he makes the argument that the world has become fatter, lonelier, and meaner. Like we are just mean. And I was like, oh my God, so I'm going to post some content to my Instagram about this talk that he did. And he says, it's this hyper individualism. We don't care about anything. We don't care about anybody. And we refuse to be known and to know people. Our social skills are horrible. We have no social capital anymore. And that is hurting us. This inability to form healthy connections. And yes, to help people, that helping them would have no real benefit to us other than just helping. Because you're right. I've thought about all the programs that I have been involved in, mentored children, mentored single mothers. I am a part of a mentorship group for the last 15 years that mentors single mothers. It's called Fresh Start for Single Mothers. It's Sylvia Stewart is the creator of it. I have been involved with her group for 15 years. Trying to teach single mothers and give them the skills, give them the tools. And I'm teaching single, look, you got to be right and tight. Okay. If there's no man in the house, you have to do your best to be the best role model you can for your kids. You can't just throw up your hands. Oh, I can't do nothing with these kids. Oh, ain't no man. No, you got to be right and tight. You got to be right and tight. And I tell other single moms that. Right? I'm also teaching them if they want to get married again, how they have to present themselves, how there has to be order in their house. No man is going to come in and want to be with you and your house is wild. Get your household under control. Okay. So I've been talking about this for years. And again, I get nothing from doing that. I'm not paid to do it. I believe that it's part of what God put me here to do, though. And it's like people have lost the ability to say, wow, maybe this is something that gives my life meaning and purpose. It may not, pay me anything, or there's really no, nothing tangible that I'm getting from it, but it's a part of my purpose. It's a part of the meaning of me being here. But it's like we've lost that. Oh, if I'm not being paid to do something, if I'm not getting the bag, what? Like, that's crazy. But that's where we are.
One of the biggest red flags for me was when I walked into a woman's house was if their dog started jumping all over me.
Oh,
I knew there's no discipline in this house.
Oh, yeah.
There's no discipline in this house.
Yep.
That was a big red flag. Yeah.
It is. It is. But I have been mentoring even single moms. And I tell them, you run a tight ship. It's almost by default. I would tell men that they say, man, you're so strict. Your kids, you don't play about your kids. You don't play about your pets. I was like, no. And think about it. By default, I'm outnumbered. It's one of me and three of them. So I have to bear down, because if I don't, it's chaos. It's chaos in my home. My kids will overrun me. The dog will overrun me. The cats will overrun me. I don't play. I believe anything can be trained. And that's what I do. It's about training my children, training my pets. It's about order and discipline. But I don't play those games. I do not. And I teach other women that, okay, if there's no man in the house, then by default, you got to do what you got to do. And you can call over your brother, call over your father, call over, other male mentors, your grandfather, your uncle, right? And they can speak into the life of your children, but you got to step up. You got to step up. You can't just allow your children to run over you. That just can't happen. So I've had to get on many a single mom, like, what is going on in here? Why is it dirty? Why is it like this? Why is there clothes everywhere? Like, come on now. You done made this decision. And see, I'm big on, we're all adults, right? We're all adults. And a lot of women, they want to stay stuck in that maiden archetype. They want to be the little girl forever. I ain't buying that. You grown enough to open your legs and have all these kids, then you're going to be grown enough to raise them right. I'm not buying that maiden archetype, but I met a lot of women like that. Oh, it's so hard. And now that their dad's not in their life, what that got to do with the price of eggs? Okay. You got to do what you got to do. You done made this adult decision, and I need you to be an adult and raising your kids. So I don't play that. But yes, we do need, I agree with him. We need the church involved, but we got to be careful, because the church has been contaminated. The church has been contaminated by these other interest groups. And, I personally, don't support that. And we just have to be really careful. And I do think the church should return to its original purpose, which is morality, spirituality, order, discipline, being kind, right? And being a place where people, can, in a non-judgmental way, come and learn and grow and teach kindness and, being a good person, teaching ethics and things of that nature. I often tell a lot of younger people when they say, well, Anita, a lot of people commit crime because they're poor. I said, that's a bald-faced lie. That's a bald-faced lie. I said, my grandparents had 10 kids living in a 3-bedroom walk-up. And none of them ever did no time in jail. None of them ever was strung out or addicted or any of that. And do you know why? Because they were actually taught in a biblical framework what God expected of them. They were taught morality. They were taught legality and ethics. And for them, it was something to ascribe to aspire to be a moral, legal, and ethical person. And that's what I even taught my kids. that this is the way we live, not to be, get rich or I don't know, whatever you asking God for. It's just the right thing to do. Like this is what right living is. And that's what that's the greatest thing my family has passed down. That you do it for, just do it for the sake of, for your love of God, for your love of family, for your love of community. So I've taught my kids that same stuff. So we got to get back on track. And I think the church, I think they should be a part of it, but we gotta be careful because certain churches and the Instagram pastors, some of them churches can't be trusted. The Instagram, the podcast pastors is what I call them. Some of them cannot be trusted. So
podcast pastors. Let me put some
right. Podcast pastors, yeah. So no, and then of course, the destructive media. He talked about that, and you just mentioned the Spin That song. That we have the singers and the actors and the media that is teaching us all the wrong things instead of promoting marriage. When was the last time? Okay, this we go. So remember the group Jagged Edge? Remember the group Jagged Edge, and they had a song, "Let's Get Married."
Oh, right.
That was the last time that we heard a Black R&B group say, "Girl, I need to pull up the lyrics. Girl, let's just do it. What are we waiting for? We need to just get married." Yep, wow. That was the last time that we promoted marriage in our community was that song.
Wow, I didn't know that. That is interesting.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you that. So that was in 1999. Okay. And he said, "Meet me at the altar in your white dress. We ain't getting no younger. We might as well do it. Been feeling you all the while, girl. I must confess. Girl, let's just get married." There you go. 1999. That was the last song. That's the last time that we talked about marriage in our community. And then we went to gangster rap. So think about it. We started going to gangster rap. We started going to East Coast, West Coast, and all of that. See Dolores Tucker. She was speaking out about that, saying, hey, this music is going to start to bring down our community and the strong values in our community. And that's what happened. Oh, yeah, we got to be careful. That gangster rap is, yeah.
That is definitely interesting. That is definitely interesting.
So we don't think about that anymore. We sing about boosting and, back that A up, and, we sing about, and you had sent me some videos through Instagram that we can't even play them here. That's how crazy they are. Yeah, remember about the girl talking about popping that pee and I got to get paid and I'll take the morning after if I need to and all this other that video, the crazy video. And I'm selling pee over here and that's what we're singing now. Yep.
And we don't have time to dig into it, but just that to me is the effects of feminism, right? Just to come in there and just roll over. Of course, because remember, feminism and marriage between man and a woman, that don't go together. That is the antithesis of each other. And that's why I'm telling men, avoid women who, claim to be feminists. You can't have a healthy marriage with a woman who claims to be a feminist. That's impossible because she sees the very institution of marriage is oppressive. Remember, what's her name? Oh, marriage is slavery. You can't have no healthy marriage with no woman like that. No, you can't. So no, I tell men, say, what do you think about feminism? Or do you consider yourself a feminist? Listen carefully. Okay. What is your prognosis? Now we've talked about Delano, what he said it is going to take for this. What do you think? Do you think the Black community is cooked? We got to stop talking about it. Where do you think we'll be 10, 15, 20, 25 years?
Oh, Lord. Lord.
That's not a very encouraging answer
It's
here. Hold on, it's
not,
raining. I got to
man.
close some windows here. Hold on. Let me put this on pause.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry to interrupt there. I had
Yeah.
to close some windows. It's raining
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So where will we be in 2025?
All right. I will never, ever go black pill, right? That's just not how I'm wired. I'm wired to be hopeful and be positive. So I will never, ever just officially announce, the black community is done. We're cooked. There's nothing we can do. I will never say that. I have couples, I have young couples coming into my practice for premarital therapy. They are still interested in marriage. So I personally think that marriage as an institution will never die. I think that we are wired to pair bond, men and women. And as frustrated as both sides are, I still say that is what we want to do. We want to find someone and come together. We want to build something together. We want to have a legacy. We want to have a family, even though people are not having big families anymore, but even have one or two children. And we want to do life with someone. We want to have our person. So I think people will continue to do that. But here's what I do find disturbing. I think that in our community, more and more children are not being made out of love. And that concerns me. On a spiritual level, I think that does something to a person's DNA. I think when a person is not made in love and care and, wow, I met this person, I have a feeling for them, I think I love them, they love me. And even if they come together and it doesn't work out, I think if the children are made in love, that's still a good thing. That's a positive and hopeful thing. I think that's a good spirit in which to make a child. But now we're seeing lots of children that are not made in love. They're being made out of lust. They're being made, as a mistake. They're being made to get money. That, to me, that's spiritually not good. And I think that spirit is going to come over the earth. So that might actually be the kind of the true last days when we start seeing more and more people that are they're not made in love. They're made out of lust or out of a need for money or a mistake. I don't think that's positive at all. And I think that's when we're going to start to see the true disintegration of just people and family and all of it. So that's what I'm noticing. It's like weird to me how even you notice. Okay, so here's an interesting thing about you notice people who are on reality TV, right? So you got all these reality shows, and think about Erica Mena and Safari. So they came together on Love and Hip Hop, and this is like a reality couple, a reality show couple. Okay, well, they got married for the sake of PR, for the sake of, okay, well, this is good for the show. They made 2 children. So you made 2 human beings for the sake of PR. And we know that marriage imploded, right? And that marriage not only imploded, but had domestic violence. Like that marriage is toxic. 2 human beings were made out of that marriage. And people, I'm like, you don't think that's disturbing? You don't think that PR brung these people together and they made 2 humans, and then the marriage blew up, and now 2 human beings have to coexist in this toxic environment? Like, that to me is problematic. And again, 2 innocent children. So they're fighting over this and fight. They don't forget the fact that how this is affecting these children. Like, we're going to see that multiplied by thousands.
Yeah,
So
I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you, and I think that is problematic. I don't want to make this racial. I mean, it goes across board. But I remember one time I saw this young lady on Instagram. It had to be Instagram because I'm on TikTok.
Yeah.
and she made it short, and she was talking about, you people out there. She was a biracial child. She's you people out there who have fetishes for each other, and you just want to fetishize each other. I don't remember her dad was black or white or whatever, but she said, she was essentially saying, you had this fetish, you come together, and now you can't stand each other because you don't like each other's history, culture, whatever. And now here I am, the product of that. Don't know who I am, which way to go. The parents are fighting with each other. The black side don't really accept me. The white side don't really accept me. And so, so it just goes to the point of, if you haven't really thought about your decisions, bringing a person into the world with love, now you've got this person. She was really heartbroken. It was really painful to watch this woman struggle to know who she was, because these two people just, oh man, I just want to, black woman or whatever, whatever it was. Rather than building it on love, So that was devastating. Yeah.
We're gonna see more of that. We're gonna see more and more people come of age that, I don't know my dad, or I know my dad and he don't want nothing to do with me, or my mom feels a way about my dad feels a way about my mom. My dad admitted that it was a one-night stand. We're going to see more of that. We're going to see more adults come of age and tell these horrific stories of how they came to be. And that's a horrible foundation. That, my mom said that she was out at some club. Look, let's go here. My mom was married to her husband and went out to the club and got pregnant with me by some random dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm finding out I'm not my father's child. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think I'm the product of a one-night stand. I think I'm the product of a one-night stand.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I am.
Yeah.
I know my mother won't admit it, but
right.
It's just not. She just. Yeah.
It's not good, and to me, there's just spiritual implications of that. That can't feel good. Like my parents, they divorced, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I have videos. I have the little. So my dad had one of those cameras. Is it 8mm or 10? He had one of those old-fashioned cameras. And then when you got it processed, it came on reels where you stuck it on the thing and you let it through. I have videos like that. My dad has reels and reels of videos. And my parents was crazy about each other, when they first met and the first 5 or 6 years of their marriage. I have video of it. And there was a picture that my mom took in a professional studio, and she wrote on it to my dad. And my mom hates this to this day, but I do mention it. It says, Fred, when the day this picture speaks to you is the day my love will die. She wrote that on a professional picture of herself. Like, they were crazy about each other, right? My aunts used to talk about it. And it's funny because I think my brother and I, we both admit, they once deeply loved each other. We were made in love, right? And even though they got divorced and their marriage ended, we never doubted that my dad is incredibly romantic. We never doubted that he was crazy about my mom and my mom was crazy about our dad. We never doubted that. And to me, it's just different. It's different when your parents once loved each other. Now they may not, but they once loved each other and they made you. That's a very different experience than what we're going to see in the next 10 or 20 years. We're going to see more and more adults, like you said, say, I think I was the product of my mom cheating on her husband, or I think, my mom and dad didn't even really know each other. We're gonna see that.
Just a situationship. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not a good way to live.
It's not. And we're gonna see repercussions, but I still hope. I have couples right now, and let me tell you what's so cute about a lot of the couples that I have. They are so average. It's I feel so good when average people find each other, and neither one of them feel like they're better than the other. They're like, no, we're pretty much the same. I love that, because I'm like, you really are. They're both strong fives, and they're like, yep, yep, this is my person. And I don't think I'm better than him. He don't think he's better than me. Like we agree that we fit. And I love that for them. I'm like, finally, like the woman is not pretending to be, so much better than the guy, and the guy neither. They're both like, no, we're a good fit for one another. So I miss that. Because, social media will have you thinking a woman that's a 3 is a 10. And then she meets a man that's a 3 and she's like, oh.
Don't get me started on that. Don't get me
Right.
started on that. It's just absolute nuttiness that's
Crazy.
going on here. Just
It's crazy.
social media is it's just manifesting a bunch of traumatically, I don't even know. It's just a bunch of mentally disturbed people who are
It is. But there are still
engaging in
average people.
Engaging in delusions of self-grandeur and all kind of other stuff. So it's crazy.
Yep.
So, all right, I had you on here for a long time. Thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. Please tell the folks where they can find you at. If anybody's watching for the first time and they know Anita and I are besties. But anyway, tell us about it.
Yeah. But my channel is Better Love Movement. You can go to Instagram and find me there. I have a big platform there. And then, of course, my YouTube channel is Better Love Movement. My website is betterlovemovement.com. I do work one-on-one with singles and with couples. I do love mentoring and coaching. And I've had a lot of new clients come into my coaching program. So that has been really interesting. A lot of men have come into my coaching program. I've been helping a lot of men heal from breakups, heal from divorces, become, strong. Like you said, we need to get rid of the simps or the weak men. I've had men kind of work on themselves and, become confident, become strong, develop a standard. That's what I always tell the men. You develop your standard and then you hold it. You hold it and do not, don't. You should have expectations of the women that you're with. That's what I always tell men. You hold that standard. If a woman can't meet it, just walk away.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Agree with that. All right. Thanks again. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button as we end this. Thank you guys so much for checking out the episode. If you have a thought about something you'd like for us to talk about, I do have an email. Oh, it's at the bottom. It was at the bottom of the screen here.
Okay.
Where's it at? Faith and Justice. If you have something you want us to talk about, or you can always shoot it to us. Thank you so much for Anita coming through. We will definitely have you back on. Take care of yourselves. Much love and peace. Take care, y'all.